For years, I'd tolerated the petty tyranny of our neighborhood HOA. I'm not a troublemaker by any stretch. It's just a quiet guy with a welding shop on my own property. I'm semi-retired, living in a semi-rural area where houses are spaced apart, and yards are big. I've always followed the rules, mowed my grass, paid dues, didn't throw loud parties. Still, somehow I always ended up in the crosshairs of one particular woman. Asterisk. Her name is Cheryl. But around here everyone calls her Karen. She's the self-appointed HOA enforcer clipboard. Sunglasses and owl patrolling like she's running a military base rather than a sleepy neighborhood. HOA president 3 years running, and her reign has been pure headache. I've received letters about excessive tool noise during daylight hours, complaints about unsightly welding equipment, and even a warning about a non-standard mailbox. It was a black metal box, standard as it gets. Asterisk, but I let it go. I always let it go. Until the day she parked in my workshop. Asterisk, it started innocently enough. I had gone into town to pick up supplies, and when I came back, there it was, her beige Lexus SUV parked inside my workshop, not just in the driveway, not just near the entrance. Inside the building, parked like it belonged there. Asterisk, at first, I thought something was wrong. Maybe she had an emergency. But I saw no signs of distress. In fact, Karen wasn't even around. Just her car, taking up my space in my private workshop, with her personalized license plate HRQ-LADY shining back at me like a smug grin. Asterisk, I walked over to her house 2 blocks down. She opened the door like she'd been expecting me. Asterisk, oh that, she said, not even blinking. The street is being repaved, and I needed a spot off the road. Yours wasn't in use. Asterisk, it's my private workshop, I replied. It's not public parking. Asterisk, she scoffed. It's not like you're using it 24/7. You have plenty of space. I'll move it tomorrow. Asterisk, I told her that wasn't acceptable, but she just closed the door in my face. That was the last straw. Asterisk, I'm not a petty man. I believe in patience, but I also believe in justice and a little creativity. So I hatched a plan. The next morning, I gave her until noon to move the car. She ignored me, smiling through her front window as I knocked again, pretending she was on the phone. That was fine. I had already gotten what I needed. Asterisk, I walked back to my workshop, fired up the welder, and got to work. Reinforced the steel doors, then welded the edges shut. Clean, solid welds. No gaps, no hinges exposed. I even installed a couple of extra security bars inside for good measure. Her Lexus wasn't going anywhere. Asterisk, but I wasn't done. I left a note on the door that read, asterisk, greater than private property. Unauthorized vehicle locked inside. Owner unavailable for the next 2 weeks. Please contact the HOA for further concerns. Asterisk, then I packed a bag, filled my cooler, locked up the house, and hit the road for a quiet vacation at my cousin's cabin by the lake. No cell service, no internet, just fishing, grilled burgers, and the sweet sound of nature. Asterisk, when I returned. 2 weeks later, the entire neighborhood was buzzing. Asterisk, apparently. Cheryl had gone ballistic when she realized she was locked out of her car. She called a locksmith, who told her he couldn't access the vehicle without a key. She called a tow company, but they couldn't get in because the doors were welded shut from the inside. She even called the police, but they said it was a civil issue. It was my property, after all. She had no legal right to be in my workshop. Asterisk, then, she called an emergency HOA meeting. Asterisk's word spread fast that Brell was throwing a fit in front of the whole board, claiming I had kidnapped her Lexus. One of the more reasonable HOA members pointed out that she had, in fact, trespassed, and that her car being locked inside a private structure she had no permission to enter was her own fault. Asterisk, to top it off.
The road construction,
she cited as her reason for parking there. It had been delayed 2 more weeks. She could have parked in her own driveway just fine. Asterisk, by the time I got home. I found a note taped to my front door from the HOA board, not Cheryl, apologizing for the situation and assuring me that it had been handled internally. Karen had been removed as president in an emergency vote. She still lived on the block, but But her power trip was officially over. Asterisk, as for her car, I unlocked the workshop and opened the doors wide. The Lexus sat there, dusty and sad, the smell of stale air hanging around it. I hadn't touched it. Of course, I'm not a vandal. It's a guy who defends his space. Asterisk, that afternoon, Cheryl came by in a cab. She didn't say a word as she climbed into the driver's seat and drove off, avoiding eye contact like it might burn her. Asterisk, I haven't had a single complaint from the HOA since. In fact, several neighbors quietly thanked me. Apparently I wasn't the only one she'd pushed around. Asterisk and me? I went back to work in peace, upgraded the locks on my shop, and added a few cameras just in case. But mostly, I enjoy the quiet now, knowing the neighborhood busybody finally got a taste of her own medicine. Sometimes justice comes with sparks and steel and a well-timed vacation.